Hey, I'm Sean,
Hi, and I'm Shannon.
and we're the host of Wifey and Baby Mama. Happy Thursday, family, and welcome back. How was your week of love?
Yeah.
Or do y'all make it a month? Shannon, you and Will go on any dates, or you go saving it to the weekend?
Well, just like you and, Jimmy, we were both married in this week as well. So our anniversary is Saturday.
Okay.
Oh, and happy anniversary to you.
Thank you, thank you,
So,
thank you.
yeah, so we're going back to Charleston, which is where we got married.
That's
So looking
awesome.
forward to that. So the Valentine's Day kind of takes a back seat to the anniversary because that's the main event for us. It's the anniversary.
I get it. I get it. Well,
What
you all
about
know
you?
what I did. What I do every day, girl, chill. I be sitting right here. But, at least today I get to be with my peeps, and that's good with me. I think after 28
Yeah,
years of knowing each other, it's like, where are the kids? Who has
yeah,
practice? Who
yeah,
at the hair
yeah.
salon? Who didn't get picked up from school yet? And all that good stuff. But,
Right,
for the ones of
right.
you who still get all mushy and go on dates, I don't like y'all. I'm just kidding. I, I hope it was all that and more. Now, Shannon, we got to get to our date tonight. We got a hot date with one of season two's hottest guests, Miss Amber Hill.
Yes, our
Yes.
number one. I have to give it to Amber. For those who don't know, let me give her some love. When we
Yay!
look at our
Yay!
our metrics and our stats, this is our number one guest. People love to hear you, Amber, and we're
Oh,
we're so happy that you're here with us again.
thank
Absolutely.
you.
As promised, she has returned this
Yeah.
season to break down
Mhm.
tonight's topic with us, Where Your Love Lies. Welcome back, Amby. Why don't you introduce yourself to the new fam here at Wife and Baby Mama? Because, honey, baby, we have picked up 9 new
Woo!
countries since she was last on. So
Yes,
say hey,
yes.
Wow!
girl.
Hi,
Yes.
everybody. Hey, family.
That's
What you want me to
awesome.
introduce?
So what were you doing? So Amber,
Oh yeah, yeah.
how was your Valentine's going, Am?
Yeah, I was at work all day, so we're actually going out to eat tonight. Um, to Black and Blue. So
Oh,
after this,
Awesome.
we'll be going out to dinner.
nice,
Look
nice.
at you, still doing your due diligence to the public. So thank you, Amber, and welcome back.
Thank you.
All right. Now, I know quite a few people can relate to our topic tonight, Where Your Love Lies. And we're going to
Mm,
discuss how partners can be at odds in blended families because one or either all of the children don't approve or like the new partner, or the new partner
mm,
may not agree with the ways of the child or children when it comes to, the person they married. How do couples solve this? Or is there a solution? This is one for the ages, so y'all know there
mhm,
some more stories. There's some more stories gonna
mhm,
go down tonight. And Amber,
Mhm.
I'm gonna let you have
yes.
the first slice of the pie because you are the guest and we have manners. So, your kids were well, your kids were well aged by the time you were married, and then you gained a
All right.
bonus son as well. Is it
Yes.
all
Yes.
paradise, or do you find yourself torn between, asking
It's
yourself where your
not.
love lies often? It is
It's
not. So you
not
need a
all
Calgon take me
paradise.
away date every now and then, huh? Tell us about
Oh,
it.
definitely, definitely. It's wow. When Scotty first came around, everybody was good, but Scotty wanted to be their friend. And we had a conversation, and I said to him, it's a really fine line. You need to not always
Mm,
try and just be on their good side because it's just not the way it goes.
right.
Hmm.
So his position was he wanted to have that kind of relationship because he didn't have a really good relationship with his stepfather.
Okay.
Um,
So I said, I understand that, but it's gonna come a time where you have to discipline them and it's not gonna go right.
Hmm.
Needless to say, I was right. And him and
Women
my
are.
right, him and my more so my daughter are very at odds. They are like, what is it, oil and water?
Oil and
yeah,
water.
yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Oil and water, and they have a. I hate to say hate. but you know that saying love hate
Love,
relationship.
hate.
I don't
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
believe they
Mhm.
hate each other, but I believe that they love each other. I believe some of their characteristics are the same, so that makes it kind of bad. I
Uh-huh.
believe that
Mhm.
neither one of them know how to communicate effectively, so
Big,
there
big,
is
big,
no
big
talking.
important fact. Yeah, that's a big factor
Right,
Mhm.
in making
right,
families work is
right.
communication. Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, my daughter wants me to herself. So
Mm.
Yeah.
that's a big thing. So they are at odds more than
He and the
more
son.
than not. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So usually, I'm so surprised because usually it's the other way around. It's the boys that collide. Because Shannon and I always talk about
Mhm.
how, the male is protected. But
Mhm.
Shannon says that,
Mhm.
her son wasn't overprotective of her
Not
husband.
at
It was
all.
a smooth
Not at all.
transition. So it's definitely not uncommon, but it's just more
Right.
often that it's boys and their
Yeah.
mamas. I posted a video on my social media today with Denzel Washington, and he said that boys or mothers are boys' first real love, and that first son is the mother's last true love.
Mhm.
Now I don't know
Right.
how that goes, but I tell you, I feel that with my boy. So I'm surprised that it's
Um,
actually the girls, but I tell you guys, because
yeah.
my girls
Yeah.
and Jimmy collided a
Mm.
lot too. So I definitely can believe it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't have the experience, of course, with the children
Daughters.
aspect, but I can just go through what I went through as being, the stepdaughter of a man that wasn't my father.
Mhm.
Hmm.
I was there cock blocking, trying to do everything
Mhm.
I could do to I hated my mother with the man because that wasn't my dad.
Mhm.
Um
Yeah.
and having to be
Okay.
forced into, hey, this is your dad now. I'm like, no, it's not.
Yeah.
Right.
Um, and it wasn't necessarily because I wanted to be that close with my mom. It
You
was I
just
was a
wanted your
daddy's
mom with your
girl.
dad. Hmm.
Exactly. I wanted her with him. It's like I love him. Why don't you love him?
Wow, I get
So
it. So that's why I love to explore every part of a topic, all the moving parts, because
yeah,
everyone
yeah,
gets it differently. Because for me,
right.
Mhm.
it wasn't like that with my stepfather. That was my man. Like people tell me, even
Yeah,
in the book, they tell
yeah,
me when we're reading, sometimes I
yeah.
don't know if you're talking about your father or your stepfather, because that's how
Mhm.
much I love my
See,
stepfather. It was
see.
one and the same.
Mm,
So
Yeah.
it's like
right.
so many moving parts to it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I didn't, it's not that I did not love him, of course, initially, of course, I was young. I was like 5, 6 years old. So of course you grow. By the time I'm
Right.
16, he was cool
You
with
love.
me.
Right, right.
That
Well,
just grew over time.
it plays a
Yeah,
factor, like I said, because remember, my dad and
hmm,
mom divorced when I was 3. So
yeah, yeah.
my stepfather came into my life very early too. So I
Hmm.
guess,
Mhm.
and my father was an over the road trucker. Let's keep that in mind.
Yeah.
So he wasn't
That
physically
makes a
in the home a
difference.
lot. My father wasn't physically in the home a lot, Shannon. And then here's my stepdad who was there all the time. So that's how
Mhm.
our
Yeah,
bond grew. So Shannon, where you were with your dad a lot, you know what I'm saying? I wasn't with
right.
my dad a lot in my younger years. So I think that's why it was
Well, I
easy
mean, I
for me to
wasn't with
attach to
mine
my
either.
father.
Yeah, no, no, no. Yeah, I was in South Dakota. My dad was in Charlotte. So no, I wasn't with him, but
Uh,
mentally I was with him.
your bond
I
was
could
still with
never,
him.
yeah, my
Mhm.
bond was with him. So Amber, when
Yep.
your daughter and your husband, what kind of you know, how did you step in? What kind of steps did you take? What can you tell
Yeah.
people,
Mm.
to say, this is what
I
I think you should do, or learn from what
nah.
I didn't do?
Honestly, I do not have the I don't have the answer because my thing was I don't want to be in the middle of this. Um
Oh,
at
wow.
the
Okay.
point where she's an quote unquote an adult, so to speak. So and he's an
Yeah.
adult. So why am I in the middle of this? Please tell me why. I can't I love my daughter, I love my husband. You mean to
Mhm.
tell me two adults can't come together and talk it out?
Yeah.
That was my
Yeah.
position on it. So it was
Yeah.
like I'm being pulled in two different directions. Oh, you believe whatever she say, you believe whatever he
Mm,
say, da 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 da
Wow.
da. And then I'm like, nope, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to
right.
hear it because everybody has their truth. Okay, so since both of you guys are saying one thing, one thing, and you're saying another, oh, let's
Hmm.
all come together and talk about it. I'm
Now,
not.
And
I'm
did
what
not.
it?
I'm not
happens?
ready. I'm not ready to talk to
Yeah.
her. I'm not ready to talk. I don't
Oh,
want to talk to him. So, what do you want me to do about it? Tell me that.
I think
Right.
you I
Yeah.
think you're absolutely correct. If you now that's what I wanted to hear. If you offer that sit down and that compromise and neither one wants to do it, then yeah, I will wash my hands of it because I'm not about to get
Yeah.
a headache from either one of y'all. So I get it.
Right. Right. Yeah.
But did
So
it
it's
cause conflict though? Did it cause any?
absolutely
Yeah. So
yes.
that's what we want to get into. How do you resolve that
Absolutely.
conflict in your not? I mean, mainly in your marriage. Because when you choose
Yeah.
your spouse, you're supposed to. That's who
Forsaking all
you're joined
others.
with. Yeah, forsaking
It
all others.
is, and
So
I still
how?
struggle with that.
Mm,
I
that's
still
that's the
struggle with that
interesting
because
part.
a mother's love. I mean, like there is no other
Yeah,
to me.
I know.
So, um, yeah, I struggle with that. I know my husband comes first in my mind and my heart. I know he comes first, but I still struggle with it a little bit.
You know what's
Um,
Wow.
interesting to no, go ahead.
but I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought.
I'm so
What
sorry.
did you
I thought
ask?
you were
What,
done.
what
No,
did you ask me, Shannon?
no, she asked you
Oh, the
how did you
conflict, the conflict,
Mhm.
the conflict.
Mhm.
Oh,
Yes.
there was many arguments. There was many times where we were going to not be married anymore. There was many times
Wow.
when, oh,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. And I mean, it's real. It's definitely
Mhm.
real. But I think the love we have for each other kind of like supersedes it at this point. I think that now that my daughter is pregnant, I think that this blessing, I think my daughter got pregnant and it was a blessing to all of us because to me, it seems like it brought me and her closer together. It seems like they're on the right path. They still had their little tits
Wow.
and tats. It seems like they're on their right path. And it's amazing what a little bundle of joy can do, boy. I can't wait till she
That's
gets here,
awesome.
but um it's the same thing that happened. I didn't have a stepfather, but my mother had a boyfriend that she was with since I was 2 years old. So he was around. He wasn't in our house, but living, but he was around all the time. And he did things to my mother, not physically, but I believe, mentally that I got to a point where I was old enough that I could not stand him to the
Mm.
point where I was raised to always respect um my elder, so I never really said anything to him until I got probably in my 20s, and he pissed me off so bad I call him every kind of name in the book, and I never talked to him again.
Mm.
It
Really?
took
Wow.
my Never talked to him again. It took me having my son for me and him to get back together to speaking, because he
Mhm.
loves
Wow.
kids.
Mhm.
So it took that for us to start speaking. And now we're like my mother says it's a thing because I say your boo thing. Now they're not together anymore, but they still have a friendship. So
Mhm.
they said I say your boo thing. I talk to your boo thing. She says, "Girl, that is not my boo thing. That's your boo thing. Not like a boo thing, like
Yeah.
together boo thing, but you know
Right,
what I'm
right.
saying."
Yeah,
And
basically
Mhm.
like
here,
y'all closer than we are now.
yeah, right. It took
Uh-huh.
my kids coming, the blessing of my kids to come for us to even form another relationship. So I think that's what's happening now
So you see
between.
that coming back around with Scotty and your
Yep,
daughter.
yep,
Wow.
yep, yep, yep.
Wow. And
Hmm.
I think what I was going to say when I interrupted you and made you lose your train of thought, I'm so sorry. I think that being married, I think that threefold cord makes a difference and makes you fight a little harder, Shannon. Don't you think?
It do.
And when you're
Yeah,
dating,
yeah,
because Shannon, when you're
yeah.
dating,
Oh,
it's
for
easy to walk away,
sure.
right?
Walk away.
Of course, of
Because
course.
remember,
Yeah.
Shannon, Amber, we had a guest on last week, our first male guest. Oh, it was awesome. But
This
it
Oh,
was
season.
cool.
Yeah, he was saying that he was dating a young lady who had a child, and the child was always, into something, and he was always like picking her up and telling her, "Hey, we need to do something." She's like, "You're not gonna talk to my child like that. He's my child, and he can do whatever he want to
Mm,
do." And guess what? He said, unfortunately, they had to
Oh,
go their
that's
mhm,
not
separate
a good
ways.
thing.
He
My
loved her. He said there was no issues in between them, but he just couldn't deal with that. And see, because they were not married, see, it's easier when you're not
easy to
married,
walk away.
mhm.
but once you tie that cord, it's not so easy to walk away. Nor is it an option, really, or it shouldn't be. That's
Right,
just like
And
right.
that's
it.
the thing. I know that Scotty loves my kids. So you
Mm-hmm.
reprimanding them is not a problem for me, right? Because I
I get
know
Mhm,
it.
that you would go to the ends of the earth for my kids. I understand. I
mhm.
get it wholeheartedly. So,
Yeah.
and it's not even, she does not like, what is the word I'm looking for? She does
Authority.
not, authority. She does
Mm-hmm.
not like authority.
That's
And it's
that's
not,
most kids.
Eh,
it's
eh,
not even, let me just tell y'all
most people.
what they argue about. This is the crazy part because it's not even that bad. They argue about her keeping her room clean
Ah.
and um cleaning up after herself. That's what they
I'm
argue
sitting.
about.
I'm sitting in the twilight
Mm,
zone because y'all know I had three daughters when I
yeah,
met Jimmy.
yeah.
And that's
Mhm,
literally what they argue about.
mhm,
It's like
Yep.
you said, Amber, like I'm just walking away from this. Now, other things it was legit, Shannon, like the story I told of.
mhm.
They want me to go to three different restaurants.
Oh,
Amber, when I met
Right,
Jimmy,
right.
one would eat KFC, one want McDonald's, one want Burger King, and I would
oh,
do
we
all
not
three.
doing that. Girl,
Yeah,
you
No,
crazy.
you
and
crazy.
I
Crazy.
told you guys I overcompensated because I worked a lot. So give me
Yes,
a little
I
grace.
know. Oh
I worked
yeah, I
18 to
understand.
20,
Totally
20 hours a
understand.
day sometimes, Amber. I didn't see my kids for
Mhm,
2, 3
Okay.
hours a
I
day.
got it.
So
I
I
get it.
tried to do whatever I could to still feel like a mother, right? Even though I was a single mother, so I'm
mhm.
providing. But anyways,
Yeah.
when I met him, he was like, "That's even more crazy that you worked 18 hours and you're going to three restaurants." So whatever the case
Right,
is,
right. Yeah, yeah.
we dealt with we dealt with the things that needed to be dealt with. You know what I mean? The
Mhm,
disrespect or you thinking you're gonna turn your back while you're talking. We dealt with all that.
Oh yeah.
Now, but you
mm,
have to decide, people, beyond our situations here, us three ladies personally. I want people to understand. You have to decide if it's really a true issue that you need to be stressed out about. Is it mental a manipulation from the partner because they claim they like the kids or they like kids at all? Really don't. They just wanted you. First, you have to find
mhm.
out your core issues, right?
Oh wait.
Then you have to
Wait.
decide. Okay,
The
go ahead.
wait, you forgot the manipulation from the kid because the kid
Of
can manipulate
course.
too.
Of
Yes, but
course. Oh
I
yeah.
said partner because I definitely have one, and I won't call her out. We'll just say it's one of the girls who is a master manipulator, and it took me years
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
to see,
Yeah.
and I literally almost divorced my
Yeah.
husband because of it. And it took me years to see, like, she's been getting me. But like you said, Amber, it's a mother's love. And when you're a single parent for so
Mhm.
long, you
Long.
form these
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
bonds with these kids, and it's
Yeah.
almost unbreakable, right? You'll almost
Yeah.
give up yourself for
Right,
them.
right.
But Shannon
Yeah.
and I had an episode on that too. You have to be very careful not to build that kind
Yeah.
of bond with your kids because they're not meant to be in that space. They're not.
Right.
Right.
That space is for whoever God said you should be sharing this life with. It's not for the kids. So,
Yeah.
you'll be torn at
Mhm.
times and asking
Yeah.
yourself
Right.
where your love lies. But you have to be sure. You have to be sure it's lying in the right place.
In the right
Mm-hmm.
place. Yeah, and I have to give a lot of love to my first stepfather because he did not have children. My
Okay.
second stepfather had children when he married my mother, but the first stepfather, he was young, he didn't have children, and he comes to my mother with these three kids, and we were who we were, and I was the worst of the worst because, being a daddy's girl, I was a terror. And I'll tell a little story about one day we're on the Air Force base in South Dakota, and I always follow my big sister. I always blame everything on her, even though we're only a year apart. I have to tell the story because we were in the back of the car on a summer afternoon or whatever, and we're in the back seat. Don't know how I can't. My memory's not that great to see how we got there, but we're in the back seat sniffing glue. Sniffing glue, laughing and cutting up or whatever. And my stepfather comes out and he's disturbed because my mother's at work because they had different shifts. They were both in the Air Force. but he had a different shift than her. So he was supposed to be watching us. And here I am. I think I was 9 at the time at this point. So I was 9.
Mm.
My sister Risa was 10, and we're just sniffing glue and laughing. And he said, "Get out of the car, sniffing glue." And I'm like, "No, we're not doing it. Who are you?" I mean, we just totally disrespected this man. And he was so helpless. Now when I look back on it, I'm like, this poor guy. He couldn't do anything with us. He had to go in the house and call my mother at work and say, "You need to come get your girls because they're in the back seat sniffing glue, and
Sniffing glue.
I can't get them out of this car." Of course, she came home and wailed on us, but hey, that. But the things that kids will do, he could have
That's right.
said, "Hey, I don't know. I'm not cut out for this. I'm not signed. This
Uh-huh.
this won't work because these kids." And I was in total defiance of him. I didn't look at him as any authority figure, even though I was only 9 and he was an adult. I'm like, "You're not my daddy." So
That's right.
I'm gonna sit here and sniff this glue.
But this is the that's funny. But this is the funny part. Now I can look at Bianca's phone and if Scotty calls, it says pops. You know what I'm
Aw.
saying? So
Oh,
so it's like, girl,
yeah.
what
Hmm.
you gonna do? You mad because he
Right.
wants you to clean up, girl?
Right.
And then they,
Yeah.
I
you know, some conversation, some of their arguments, they both went below the belt. So
right.
that put a strain on them. And it's
Mhm.
like, to him, she's disrespectful. And I'm like, Lord, now I know I raised my kids not to be disrespectful. But I know in the heat of an argument, anything can come out your mouth. And
That's
That's right.
right.
like I said before, me personally, I waited until I was of age. Not that I would do that to an adult and an elder, but I waited until I was of age to even say anything to my mother's boyfriend. I would never
Mm.
say anything to him. So now I think in her head is I'm an
Well,
adult
this
too.
generation is, yep. And I'm gonna say this
I'm an
generation a
adult
little
too.
different, honey.
Yeah.
They're a little
But
different.
to me, to this day,
Yeah.
yeah, to me, I know I'm an adult, but I know I would not talk sideways to my elder. And this
Right.
generation
Mm.
is different.
Yeah.
So I don't really
Yeah.
have the answer to how you even go about it. I would, if in my perfect world, I would like everybody to just sit down and hash it out. Not,
Right.
I don't want you to go back to, well, you did this and you did that. I really want them to just move forward and say, okay, going forward, how can we get this going? How can we,
And I
if
think
we
that's
have,
absolutely the answer.
yeah, if we
Mhm.
have an issue, how do we sit down and really talk about this, um, like adults
Right.
and
Right.
not talk at each other?
Mhm.
And I want to correct myself. I don't mean that's absolutely the answer. I think that's absolutely a step in the right direction. It
Right
has to
direction.
start with
Yeah.
communication. It has to start with
Mhm.
communication because we're going nowhere. You're not going to go anywhere. And like you said, especially going below the belt. Then you're going to hold grudges. I went through
Yep.
all of it. But I think, Amber, what you said too is key. After they're of age, you kind of got to remove yourself. Like I leave it now,
Mhm.
certain things. I leave to Jim and my daughters to work out on their own because you find yourself asking where your love lies and you don't want to betray your husband. You don't want to betray your kids,
Right.
but sometimes it's just necessary to just step away,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
and just let
Yeah.
them figure it out. Because if you're always the mediator, then it's always your headache. You understand?
right.
Mhm.
And
Yep.
it just
Mhm.
can't be that way. So as women are the coolants, that's going to be season 4. But we have to learn how to address situations, and if they just flat out refuse, then you know what? Let them be on their way. Y'all figure it out.
Yeah.
But
Because
I found
that's how
sometimes it
we
was easier
argue.
for me just to remove myself from the situation. Yeah, and that's
And
right. You
I'm
find yourself arguing, and sometimes it's not even about us.
and,
Mhm.
and then
I
it's
get it.
like we arguing like, you know what I'm saying? We got things
Yeah.
going on as a married couple, so we have to get ourselves together. before we can even deal with these
The
kids. Like,
kids.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Mhm.
girl, I could go on
And
and on and
sometimes
on.
that can, and sometimes that can, and sometimes that can spill over too. So
That's
we have to be
right.
careful about that, right? Because if you and I are
Mhm.
arguing, you definitely not getting ready to say to my kids because this is going now. Because now I feel like you attacking my kids
All
because you mad at me.
right. Yeah.
So all those
Back to
issues have
me.
to be addressed. Yeah, all those issues have to be addressed at the right temperature. Absolutely,
Right, right.
absolutely. So yeah,
And I'm you know me, I want to talk it out. Well, let's talk it out. You can't be walking around here getting all mad at me and I don't even know why you mad at me.
Yeah.
that's right. That's right. Well,
So
I
yeah.
think
All right.
I think we pretty much hit the good points on it, Amber, and I'm happy you brought up communication because
Yeah.
that is the key.
Yes.
It
Either one
is.
of you have anything else you want to add before we wrap it up to the next segment?
That's it.
Um I would just say God bless anybody. Well, God bless everybody, but when you in a marriage and you have kids from one side and kids from the other
Mhm.
side, God bless you
Ble-
because
Yes.
Blended
it is
families are
hard work.
tough, baby. It is. It's a second
Right.
job, a third
Right.
even.
Mhm.
It is
Yep.
But
hard work
yeah, it is. And
and
like you said, God bless
yeah,
everybody, but blended families
God,
need some extra prayer. You
some
ain't never
extra
lied, y'all.
blessings. Yes,
Extra
yes,
blessings and prayer.
they
And
do.
we could just, yeah, we can wrap it up and just say if everyone is honest, and like Amber said several times, willing to communicate and consider everyone's position in the situation, with an open
Mhm.
mind.
Mhm.
We won't have to question where our love lies every day. It won't be a bowl of sunshine rays, but it shouldn't be a battle every day either. It's
Right.
best to
Mhm.
assess what is expected from everyone right from the beginning because blended families, may not be bound by blood, but they should be sealed with love from every angle. So whatever it
Mhm.
is, we need to be able to hatch it out.
Amen.
Love it.
All right, Shannon, take us
All
on to the
right.
audience
On
invite.
to yeah. Audience invite. Here we go.
Here we go. The title of last week's song was Goodbye by Jagged Edge. And the title of last week's episode
Yeah.
was I Don't Want to Hold Your Bag. Now that's an old
Mhm.
school R&B classic that is self-explanatory. But just in case
Mhm.
you've been under a crate and never heard that, please take time to listen to this song in its entirety. And if you've ever had to end a relationship reluctantly, grab some Kleenex too, baby. And if you can dig that song or guess the name of the tune that goes with the lines dropped in tonight's episode or any of the tubes we dropped this season, be sure to hit us up. This is your official invite to email us at wifeyandbabymama@gmail.com. That's wifeyandbabymama@gmail.com. And keep in mind, if you have any topics you would like for us to break down, send it to us also to the same email, wifeyandbabymama@gmail.com. We are here for it. All right, baby mama,
Yes,
do your
we
thing.
are. All right. Thank you. On to the final segment of tonight. The fictional family I'm feeling. The fictional family I'm feeling tonight is the Pearsons or Persons, I think is how they pronounce their name. And for those of you who have seen Are We There Yet or Are We Done Yet? Ice Cube and Nia Long. That's their franchise. But I'm starting with the Are We There Yet franchise and Ice Cube and Nia Long. And um, she was Suzanne and he was Nick. And he got with her and her two kids from a previous relationship. She had a daughter, Lindsay, a son, Kevin. And the two kids did everything that they could to sabotage any relationship their mother was in. They did not want her with anybody. And so not only was he not the typical guy, because she was the professional one and he was the, you know, I wouldn't say roughneck, but in this day and age, we probably call him a roughneck, but he wasn't all polished in what they were used to. But even it didn't matter. They didn't like the ones before him or the ones, or him. So they did all these things to sabotage. And he did all this along the way throughout the whole film trying to win them over and then finally turning on them and they you know, he, he did exactly what they set out to do. So the scene I'll talk about tonight is it's pretty much the ending, the final ending. And he messed up and ran off Suzanne, my girl Nia Long, who I love, ran her off and her kids, and it was over. And he had this little bobblehead in his car, and the voice of the bobblehead was my guy Tracy Morgan. And Tracy Morgan, he's standing there looking all sad and forlorn. And Tracy Morgan says to him, he says, "Do you know what they call a 50-year-old bachelor?" And Nick, who is Ice Cube, says, "What?" He said, "Lonely." That's what you call a 50-year-old bachelor. And I laugh at that now because I was 50 when I got married. I'm like, was I just lonely or no? Okay, well, that's another episode. But anyway, but he runs to Nia Long's or Suzanne's room where she is with the kids, and he knocks on the door. And she's like, "What are you doing here?" He said, "I just want to see the kids." And she's like, "No, they're kids. Leave them alone. They don't like you. We don't like you. Whatever." He's like, "No, I just want to, I want to explain. I want to talk to them." And she's like, "They don't need excuses. They need a man." And he says, "Well, then let me talk to him because, I feel like, I have something to say. And also, if this is the end of us, or no, this is the end of us. I want to say goodbye to the kids." So he goes into the room. She lets him in, and they're so happy to see him after everything that they've done to sabotage and break this relationship up. They light up when Nick walks into the room. So you can see that bond has been made between him and those kids. And so he sits down with them and he says, "Look, your mother is a wonderful lady. She's a wonderful, wonderful person. And I know she's going to be dating guys that are better than me because they weren't on the same level in his eyes. So he says, she's going to get something better than me." He said, "But however, you two have got to stop running them off because she deserves happiness. She deserves someone in her life, and you can't deny her this." Is pretty much what he those were his exact words. I'm rewriting the script a little bit, but he's pretty much saying she deserves to have that in her life. So stop running off these guys, and allow her to have something in her life. And they were like, yes, the kids, they totally agreed, and they said, "But we really want you to be here, um, and we want you now." Because after everything that they'd gone through, and they saw that he always had their back, they recognized that, hey, no matter what we did to him, he was gonna hold us down. And he's like, "Well, I gotta go." And he gave them each his necklaces because he was, wore all his bling, and he gave it to him. He says, "I gotta go." And then he apologizes to Suzanne and he says, "I'm sorry about everything that happened. And I just want you to know, I hope we can still be friends." And she says, "No, we cannot be friends. That will never happen." And the kids are like, "Oh, they're down. What?" And he's down and he goes to walk away. And she says, "We can't be friends because I want much more than that. I want to be more than just your friend."
Mm.
Yes. And the kids say, and then it's New Year's Eve, and so or New Year's, and the fireworks start going off, and one of the kids says, "Aren't you supposed to kiss her?" Which is the perfect ending because they never wanted their mother with anyone, and now they're asking this man who they tried to deter. And if they would have let that happen, it would have never been a relationship, which is what happens in a lot of people's relationships. And that's why people say, "I don't want to date anyone with kids." And that's another, I know the show, Sean, that's another show we're doing. But
Yeah, I
people will
like that
say, "I'm
study.
not dating."
I'm
We're
telling
not
you.
dating anyone with kids.
You should
But
bring
Yes.
Brandon on for that show.
Yes. So the fact that, they were able to pull it back together and she recognized, hey, my kids couldn't run them away no matter what they did. And then they, of course, turn around and learn to love him, and he learned to love them throughout all the chaos. And that takes a lot of maturity. We get that. But that is the fictional family I'm feeling. The Pearsons.
Awesome.
Pearsons.
Awesome, awesome. That's one of my favorite movies. But you know what I got out of it, Shannon, is what Amber said when you said the mother said no. And then she
Yeah.
did move out the way and let him talk to the kids. Now, had the mother
Yes.
stayed in it, sided with her kids, he would have walked away and you'd have
Mhm.
lost your good man. Sometimes it's good for the mom to
Exactly.
just step away. So that's what I got from
Mhm.
that whole story, moms. Sometimes it's good to let
Beautiful.
the dads and the daughters and the sons hatch it out. And women.
Mhm.
Sometimes women come into families. This is not always a stepdad entering the family. Some like
Right.
your fictional family last week, Shannon, was Julia Roberts entering
Mhm.
into that family.
Mhm.
So sometimes
Mhm.
it's good for the other parent to just step away and let the incoming parent hatch it out. Great
That's
fictional
right.
family.
That's right.
Amber, thank
All
you for
right.
joining us tonight, darling.
Thank you,
It was
Amber.
my pleasure.
We
It was my
love having
pleasure.
you. Love having you.
Thank
And thank you
you.
to all of our guests for being with us again another week. We love you all so much. Shannon, take us out of here, baby.
Yes, and to all of those around the world. Until next week.
I'm wifey.